You're watching Everyday's a Saturday, USCC veteran. Let's go, baby. And here's your host, Bryan. Boom, man, what's going on, friends and family? Welcome to another Coffee Talk with Marie and Bryan. Good morning, Marie. How are we doing today?
I'm doing good today. Tired and good.
Well, that's good. It's a nice smile on the face. Pretty huge. And what is everybody drinking today? We got some cash coffee. Let's go ahead and brew it up real quick and get into it. All right. Don't forget to go check out some Cash Coffee. They got some amazing flavors as well as supplements, some cool merch, and just some really good people located there in good old Utah. And they will ship it out to you wherever you are. I've already tried the Mean Gene and the K9 coffee, and I really enjoyed it. Great flavors. If you like it, nice and bold, a little strong. Good stuff. I'll make sure to have the link in the description of the show. All right. How was your weekend?
It was good. I did my first show, and I sold one book, and it was for a plate of food, which was fine. I mostly was focused on networking and getting my information out there and letting people know that all my stuff is online and that I do. That I'm a recovery advocate and just getting people to know that I'm here to talk to people. So it was fun. It was real unofficial. Like I didn't even post it on social media until the night before. So, but yeah. I enjoyed it.
Well, it's a good little, you're a step forward and, you're getting yourself in there and starting to, work your way. That's good. That's good to go. Me and the wife, we went to Morgan Wallen this weekend, and that was pretty fun. Kind of crazy. He has a large fan base. We went to the Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. That's where the 49ers play. And I think that thing was sold out. And Brooks and Dunn opened up for him.
I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Oh, there. Now I can.
Okay. Brooks and Dunn actually opened up for him, and that was kind of interesting. Listen to Brooks.
I love Brooks and Dunn. That's awesome.
Yeah, they were great. And it's just it's crazy to see these, they're old timers now, and now they're opening up for people. You know what I mean? It's like full circle, I'm sure, for Morgan Wallen. I'm sure he grew up listening to them, Brooks and Dunn, and now they're opening up for him. And gosh dang, dude, that dude must have, some good money flow, because his show that he put on, the pyrotechnics, the fireworks, the entourage walking in. I mean, dude, it was a hell of a setup. I really actually liked the way he kind of did his thing too. Like, he had this whole thing set up for his band where he let them all kind of just jam out, and it was like showing and introducing them, where they were from, and things like that. And I've never really watched anybody. I mean, I've seen people kind of say on the bass, we got so-and-so, like this, but he actually dedicated like a whole set kind of for his band, which I thought that was kind of cool. And he also had a really cool tribute to veterans through one of his songs.
Awesome.
and played a lot of great stuff. So I really gained some respect for him, going to one of his concerts. And especially when I saw that he, how humble and respectful he is kind of to everybody as well. And then everybody gets like these bracelets and they light up during the song and stuff. And it was a lot of fun. Good times. A lot of crazy drunk folk getting carried out of there. If you haven't ever been to a country concert, people get annihilated there. I mean, some people don't even make it into the concert Like they're getting carried out before they even get in, and there's videos actually circulating around where there's like girls and chicks just passed out in their seat, like they literally slept through the entire concert. Thinking, wow.
I'm so glad that's not me anymore.
You're like, that was me probably at one point in time. Dude,
Yep.
this good thing there wasn't cameras and stuff like that when we were growing up, because shit, the things that could have been circulating around. Oh gosh, how crazy that would have been. All right, so today we'll go ahead and get into what we're getting into, and we're gonna get into kind of my timeline of PTSD, and when I kind of started realizing I had PTSD, and what kind of things were starting to trigger it, and when I really started paying attention to it as well, because there's a little time I didn't really kind of have any attention to it. But all right, Marie, we're gonna go ahead and start it off how we normally do. Nice little poem from you, and don't forget she's got her new poem book coming out. Well, it's already out. We're just waiting for the link so you guys can go grab it yourself a copy. But it's awesome. It's a very nicely put together book. It is was really, I mean, your photos and your words, so it's completely 100% hers. So
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'll give you a link. I created a link tree because we're working on my website right now, and so on my link tree I have a button that you can push to sign up for the book launch. So I promise it is coming. I still just don't know when. Like I said, there's a lot going on and just working on the website. But
it's all good. You want it to be right, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think that's the most important thing, is getting it done right.
So based on the book, so the book title is called More Me Than I Used to Be. And that comes from a poem that I am going to read to you today. And
All
so
right.
just kind of explaining what that means. It's that idea that for so many years I was lost and I was utilizing tools and experiences that just weren't me. And so when I got sober, I have learned how to become more me than I used to be. So this poem, More Me Than I Used to Be, I wrote it in February of 2018. All of my life, I've collected pieces of varying sizes and shapes. I don't know why I held some close and others I hid behind drapes. Some people offered me distorted pieces, and as a hoarder, I couldn't see that even though they were part of a puzzle, they didn't belong to me. They were part of someone else's picture, usually those who were trying to hand them over to me instead of by their own box abiding. Like them, I too offered pieces to others along my path. And as I'm learning to step back, sometimes I have to laugh. There are some holes inside that make the picture hard to see, and other places I force the shape of a distorted figure of me. I know the image I manipulated is not the one God made, for He created everything beautiful just the way they were laid. At some point, I looked in other boxes, wishing mine was different. So I started mixing up our pieces, creating something magnificent. I started forcing pieces together, throwing others away, stealing some from other people, and my picture changed every day. Where I'm at now is trying to get back to the box that is mine alone. And with the help of other people, God's will is being shown. I'm learning how to pick up pieces, the ones I tried to hide, by giving them to other people or thrown away in pride. I'm letting go of the distorted ones that don't fit anywhere and giving them back to their owners so their box won't be so bare. God painted the picture on my box to be the way He desired. And I'm done trying to change things. It makes me just too tired. Slowly but surely, as I get things in order, I know one day I'll find the picture that God had planned for me that got lost in my mind. Pieces are finally fitting together in the way I know He wants. He's telling me I'll be okay in my heart and in my thoughts. The only thing I know for sure is I'm more me than I used to be. And I know the final piece of art is more perfect than eyes can see. So thank
Awesome.
you for letting me read it.
Absolutely. Oh, sheesh. Gosh, I'm getting this thing all messed up. All right, here we are. Oh, sheesh. That was a great one. That's what happens
Thank
when I
you.
try new stuff. Thank you once again. And we appreciate you always. Uh, those poems are just amazing. And that one was written, what, 7 years ago?
Hmm.
So it's crazy. Now you're on this journey of talking about it all, right? When you started writing all this, did you ever fathom and see yourself where you are at today? Like now being sitting here, being an advocate, you're healthy, you got a smile on your face, you know, did you see that coming?
I never saw that. I was so stuck and lost in the pain of my past and the
Right.
PTSD and the victim mentality for
Sure.
so long, and I did not see that I would find peace. I knew that I felt like moments of peace, but they were like scattered. But it's like now I there's just this new joy that I have in my life more often than not. You know
Right.
and yeah, my life is so much different than I ever imagined, and I'm so grateful for that. Like things have gone in ways that I didn't like, and there was some really hard moments and some things that happened that I wish that didn't. But I have been able to learn how to appreciate it and accept it, and learning that God is making my weaknesses strengths and using hard things to help me grow. So I'm so grateful for the journey.
Outstanding. All right. And now we'll kind of go through a little bit of my PTS journey now. And just bear with me through this, guys, and um, because it's a lot of it's new and stuff and things of some of it's like me sharing things that uh, sharing you through my vulnerability of PTSD really. um,
Before you get started,
yep.
somebody told me something today, and this was a past guest of yours, or yesterday, he told me. Um, so we focus a lot on PTSD, right? That's what a lot of the doctors do. They focus on the post traumatic stress disorder and the reactions to that.
Right.
And what we are doing now, what you have been doing with this podcast, what I'm doing with my writing, and what we're both doing as advocates, right? We are now changing the script and focusing on post traumatic growth. And
I
that's
like that.
exactly, yeah. And
Yeah.
I loved that word because I've never heard that before.
Never put it in perspective like that, right?
Yeah. So it's like, okay, so you're about to share your post traumatic stress disorder and how it affected your life. And then we are seeing the fruits of both of our post traumatic growth as well. And so as Bryan is sharing his story here, for other people, make sure that you're remembering that our struggles can lead us to new growth, so we don't let it tear us down. Yes, it will pull us down, for a while sometimes, but we don't have to get lost in that. We don't have to get stuck in that. And if you feel stuck, remember the 988 hotline. Veterans use option one, for trauma, for PTSD, for addictions. If you feel like you're being dragged down, call that hotline and know that advocacy is there for you. But remember that there is a way. Bryan and I are showing you that there is a way for post traumatic growth as well. So thank you, Bryan, for being willing to share your vulnerability and showing other people how growth is possible. So go ahead.
Thank you. And so, all right, we'll kind of take you down the path. So without getting too much back into everything and all, reliving the story, I'll have to kind of do a little bit of that, but without getting too into it. Um, so for the gist of it, I was in the Marine Corps from 2000 to 2004. I deployed over to the Middle East in 2003. Landed over in Kuwait early January. It was like around mid January, I would say, actually, as an early party to get Camp Commando Kuwait set up. So we were offloading all the ships, bringing all the stuff over, and then we were part of the main invasion. So um, we kind of were on the outskirts of Iraq on the border, and they broke down the berms, and then that's when we infiltrated inside. Now, while we were in Kuwait, we were pretty much like sitting ducks. And I feel like if there is a syndrome called the sitting duck syndrome, that would be probably a lot of what people who experience getting bombed on go through, right?
There's nothing you can do. You're just kind of
You're
stuck.
you're just there, right? And you are a sitting duck, is like I like to say it. And things are falling out of the sky, and you just don't know where it's going to land, right? And they did put Patriot missiles up in the hilltops to knock some of the Scud missiles or whatever they were shooting at us down. All right, so a lot of what I was going through over there was running to Scud bunkers during all hours of the day. And when it was live and when we first started, so March 8th is pretty much the day that we took impact at Camp Commando. There was a missile that landed on the outskirts of it, did not hit in the inside, thank God, but it hit, and it was one of the first missiles shot, and it went under all the alarms and detection. So we're just like, holy shit, we're in a bad spot. And they know where we're at because this base was the final stand back in Desert Storm, where the U.S. fought off the last of the remaining Iraqi soldiers in this. So they knew exactly where this compound was because it was actually a Kuwaiti army base as well. So it was very high targeted area. Why you would put all your logistics in that kind of a spot, I get it, probably for the facilities and stuff like that. Although the facilities there were nowhere near any kind of facilities that we use, right? I'm talking like bricks and like falling apart and buildings, like it just was different for us. And we built it up. We had the engineers, the Navy CBs, and the Marine Corps engineers. They all were building up different rooms and things like that. And we're getting a lot of lumber sent over to us. There's a lot of logistics going on back and forth. So we had to do a lot of convoys. So once the war actually kicked off and we kind of, the incoming was starting to be less and less, we started having to make convoys into Iraq. We had to start doing supply chains. So we had to set up. So there was couple different camps that they had to keep setting up, and then we had to keep feeding those, doing convoys back and forth from Kuwait into Iraq, right? Just feeding because there was no, at that time, you got to think about it, that's when the war was just kicking off. So we don't have any ground set up in Iraq. Everything is all set up on the border of Kuwait. So all of our supplies, logistics, everything is over there. And the way that we handled this war is we did the shock and awe, where we bombed the living shit out of them for probably like 2 to 3 days. Then they sent in like the tanks battalions, the ground troops, and everybody else kind of behind that. And then they, if you guys could imagine, they tried to set up a circle around Baghdad, and they were trying to bring everything in, because the thought was, hey, once we capture Saddam Hussein, boom, the war is over. We can move on and go forward. So it was a mad rush, mad dash to get to Saddam Hussein, and everybody was thinking he's hiding in Baghdad. So once the tank battalion, the ground troops all go through, now it's time for the support elements to start sending in their crew. Now we can't send everybody. We have to half up our crew because we still need to support back in Kuwait, because that's the main feeding source. That's where we're getting everything off of the ships and all that stuff. So we are the main source right there at Kuwait, at Camp Commando. And then we're feeding into Babylon, Iraq, is where we end up setting up another camp in one of Saddam's palaces. So we would be sending the convoys off and feeding them. During those times, there would, most of the routes were pretty cleared up and stuff like that, but there was still times that there was some shit that would hit, little sporadic, little companies, I would say. There were small battalion, like just farmers or whatever, just people trying to shoot at us. And a lot of times if that would happen, it was call an air fire, or the 50 cals can usually handle things pretty quick. But being over there in that time, you just never knew if a scud could land on your forehead at any moment, right? Because for one, you already feel like, oh shit, they really have us. They have us marked down. And another thing is before, like, so January, February timeframe when I'm there, right? I get there. We have all these TCNs. They're called third country nationalists, and they're embedded with us. There's tons of them, and these people all are from like Egypt, Pakistan. They're all from these neighboring Middle Eastern countries or whatever, and they would all go to do this because they would get paid a lot. Like their dollar was like, it was like getting paid like 20 to 1 or something like that. It was like ridiculous, their turnaround rate. So they all would leave their families for years, and they would just be, they have little kids, all this shit. They just be sending them their money back. Well, we had to do working parties with these guys, and these guys are doing everything. They see everything. They're all in there, and I don't think that there was any vetting process to get these guys in there. So who knows what kind of people we are bringing in here to be a working party. Because like I said, these guys were in there way before shit hit the fan. So they had enough time to like send them, hey man, we're over here. These guys are doing this and that. I mean, they're going to be feeding them all the information.
It's so hard to know I thought who's on your side.
I thought it was really odd for us to do that.
Yeah.
Like we were so trusting with that process. And the amount of TCNs they had was crazy. I'm talking like it was a massive amount of guys that would come in, and these dudes would be like wearing sandals and just, it's a fucking 130 degrees. They're wearing long sleeve shirts, their turbans, and they're in like flip flops and sandals, and like, but the hardest working fuckers you'd ever meet. Like they just out there busting their hump, and sometimes we'd have to sit there and you have to keep an eye on them because you would have skirts of them that would kind of start acting off, and so you'd have to like, hey, get back to work. It was a weird thing to kind of be involved, right? We're not used to this. Like they almost, I hate to even say it and put it this way, but it almost felt like we were slave owners, like to these guys. I mean, just driving them and they didn't give us no kind of training on how to fucking treat them. So I see guys over there like just yelling at these dudes, getting them to work, and it literally looked like we were like fucking slave owners. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to put it like that, but it kind of was. I mean, got to call what it is. I don't know how else to say it.
And that's got to be emotional too, because you're like, okay, we've got these people we're supposed to trust, but we don't know if we can trust them, and we don't know what we're supposed to do in this. And then I'm seeing people treating them as less than human. So how do I handle that? So that's got to be emotional.
I didn't really think about it till now, more or less. Yeah. Because as I'm saying it and talking about it, I'm like, oh. Because I never reflected on that part, right? I just was a part of it. I didn't really reflect on that until like when I'm telling you the story, and I'm thinking in my head like, gosh, damn, we are like straight up modern day slave owners. Like,
well, that goes into that whole concept.
Calling them working parties. You know what I mean? Like,
but that goes into that same concept of how do we react when we are in traumatic situations, when we are feeling fear? Are we reacting with a logical mind, or are we reacting with an emotional mind? And it kind of sounds like there was some of that emotional reactions going on there. Yeah, people are in protective mode.
Yep. And I can honestly say we probably have created some really generational hate towards America because the way that we conduct ourselves or the way we do things. We have that. I would say, a narcissist manner to ourselves, where we put ourselves above, right? Like in the military, we are the best. We are the best, right? And everybody thinks their branch is the best, and we have to be conditioned that way. So when you go into that mindset, when you go to other countries and you put in charge of these guys, and you're a young dude, man, you're like, you're just really not in a position to be treating these people right. Like I wouldn't say I mistreated them, like we didn't beat them or nothing, but I feel like the way we were just like, hey, if we, I mean, and telling jokes and shit, and making fun of them sometimes. I mean, I gotta lie, like we do those things, and I'm young. I didn't, I'm like fucking just doing things that I'm not trying to make excuses for myself, but I just didn't know better.
It's
And I look
interesting the
back
things
on
that we
it.
look back
Yeah, and
and
I look
see.
back on it. I'm
Yeah.
not proud of a lot of those moments, and thinking, damn, man, sheesh, gosh, damn, we were like, that was kind of wild how everything was over there. We're not in America anymore, and things that are probably not tolerated over here or okay, we're more okay over there, in a sense. And because I wouldn't say that what we were doing would be like, you would not see that happening on fucking base. You would see someone going and grabbing a whole bunch of workers and then having them just, unless they're from the brig or something, you know what I mean? So but kind of getting back into the other stuff, you know I just, I didn't know what to expect when I went over to the Middle East. I knew that, we were going into war and that we were going to have it, life was going to change for me. I just didn't really know what to expect, so that build up for that was really nerve wracking. And once you get involved in it, you're just become in that mode of survival mode, and you're like, I'm going to be alive however the fuck it takes. Like, I want to make it home. And because you don't want to be part of the stories you keep hearing, all these horror stories of dudes and girls getting annihilated, because when you're over there's a lot of talking about everything that's going on as it's going on. And we're getting things, through the radio and we're hearing horrible stories, and things of that. So hearing all that stuff, you're just thinking, oh my shit, man, I don't hope that don't hit us, hope we don't get, dude, hope that doesn't come here. We're just thinking in our head, like, gosh. And in the meantime, you got to still keep doing everything. You got to keep operating. You don't really have enough time to process nothing over there because you don't have time. You don't got that time to sit there and reflect and think about, oh shit, man, that was like crazy. I can't believe we did that. Or no, you got to be ready for the next thing. When you're over there every fucking minute, you don't even know what to expect or what's going to change because you literally have zero control. This ain't training no more. Motherfucking Scud could just come on out as you're having a good old conversation and eating an MRE with your buddy. You just boom right on your fucking forehead. I mean, that's how this stuff happens. You could be having a funny moment and talking about some crazy shit, and then the next thing you know, boom, 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 boom. And the next thing you know, you're going from laughter to holy fuck, we got to make it. Like, that switch is turned on. Like, it's crazy how you have to have your switch. And then when you get out, that's where we have a hard time with, because
You've
when
been
you're
in
in
survival
there,
mode. You've been in survival mode for so long.
when you're in there, you have to have that switch. You can't just sit there as like rounds are binging and banging, just like, I mean, go ahead and try it, and you're probably going to miss your head at one point in time, so reaction becomes a way of life. in how fast you react. And it's kind of weird though, because you do become numb at a point in time too, because after so many scud alarms and so many runs and so many days on end, we're talking into the months, it really starts to just wear on you. And some people started getting to the level like, I don't really care if the fucking missile fucking lands on me today, because I don't feel like getting out of my rack anymore. They had to make it, because there would be times you get to the scud and there's like scud bunker. There's like 5 Marines in there, and they're supposed to be everybody's supposed to be full in there, right? Oh, well, that really started pissing off the staff NCOs and officers. So they were like, all right, well, fuck it. Y'all want to do that? We're going to start doing attendance, and we're going to start counting off. And now you guys have brought it to the number game. We're going to play the number game. So now we had to start doing numbers. And if you didn't get your ass out of rack, boy, you're going to be doing some kind of bullshit duty, But yeah, running back and forth day in, day out, right? And then all of a sudden, I get a Red Cross message and all this. And I find out that my grandmother, she's passing. She's getting ready to pass. They wanted to see if I can make it home in time to be there for her passing and stuff. So they actually allowed me to go home. And at this time, we were kind of already starting to send troops back, right? Like one of my buddies had already went back home. He had a kid. Like if you had like kids and stuff, they were starting to kind of rotate some of the parents, the family people out, right? Because things were starting to be as they thought, things were starting to kind of scale down. And, as everybody knows, it didn't really scale down for months, years, and, shit. We're talking, this is 2003. The shit was going on like to like 2019 or something, like, so it never scaled down. It just, the mission changed from year to year, from deployment to deployment. So when I get plucked out of this situation of fucking, like, I'm in a position of running for my life, and I'm not in a good place. This place is not safe where I'm at, and I've been there for months of unsafeness. Now I'm just plucked out. They get me on a plane, and I'm all by myself on this whole adventure going back home. I got to fly into Dubai by myself. I'm like, I'm like sticking out like a sore thumb in these airports.
You've been, let me just say, you've been so used to having your battle buddies next to you. And now all of a sudden they're like sending you on a plane by yourself.
Oh,
yeah.
That is traveling. And I'm like, yeah. And the whole time they're like, telling us to watch out for guys and girls, and you never know who can kill you and this and that. Now here they are. They send me off on my own, and I'm like, fuck. And I look very military, I mean, through walking through all this, I'm like the white dude, and like the haircut, the weird tan lines and shit. So going home was it was very nerve-wracking, to say the least. And it started, I think that's where a lot of my vigilancies and stuff like that really started up, where I started getting hyper vigilant and things like that, because they threw me in from security, like she said, having my compadres, my friends, and my people with me, to now I'm out there like freaking, a fish out of water. And I think that probably, now looking back, probably was an onset to a lot of starting to have a little bit of a hyper vigilant as well.
I was just going to ask, like, I know for me, when I got back from Iraq, they really didn't do like an out processing from
None.
Iraq. They didn't do counseling.
No.
They didn't kind of teach you how to come
None.
back into the stateside.
None.
They didn't teach you how to relate to your family and
right.
friends. And so this is kind of like the hard thing is you go from being in this survival mode and they don't tell you how to turn it off and they just say, go home. And so then, it goes into your daily life from still being in the military to when you get out and how it affects everything in your life. So, yeah. So it's the same thing with you. Like they did not do any sort of out
not at
processing
all.
counseling
Not at
about
all.
specifically what happens when we're in Iraq and when we come back.
Yeah. So actually, how it worked when I come back home, right? So I get back home. They give me, I think, 2 weeks leave. And so during this time, I didn't make it home in time for my grandma. She did pass before I made it home. But I did make it in time to be able to go to the service and all that stuff. And then, yeah, I got my fucking gunny who never deployed over there with us giving me a hard time. I want to extend a day or so and, and shit. And he's just like, now get your fucking ass back here. I'm like, gosh, damn, bro. All right. And he's been chilling on the fucking, in the rear with the gear this whole gosh damn time. And he don't even know what, like, we've all experienced. He's heard the things, but he didn't get to feel it. Right. And you're trained not to have feelings. Right. So, when I get back, man, it's like, hey, get your ass back to work. There's zero. It is literally just getting right back into the swing of things. There was no transition. There was not easing into it. It was, hey, Corporal Roof, get your ass in there and get back to work.
So what were some of your emotional reactions that came out with this when you got back?
Say that one more time. You kind of got right into it.
I said, so what were some of your emotional reactions? Like how did your PTSD start manifesting when you got back?
So when I first got back, I didn't really notice anything off rip. There was nothing because I'm literally just still, my body's still functioning the same way that it was when I was deployed. There was no off switch for me, right? Because my brain couldn't even decipher that all of a sudden I'm fucking in this and then now I'm not in this. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you wake up from a dream all of a sudden. But the reality of it is my body, my mind, and everything has experienced all this stuff. But my body and mind are not caught up with each other. They're definitely not in sequence. Because my mind's still back there. But my body is over here now in the present. And so now I'm trying to function and still act like, I can do everything. I'm young. Not really noticing anything. Okay, then there was one distinct thing that happens. Me and my buddy, who he's like my brother, we decided to go check out a movie. This is the first time going to a movie since we've been back. We watched the movie. It's Jackass. It's one of the Jackasses movies because we've always loved to go watch Jackass, the movie. And so we're walking out of the theater and an Amtrak goes by. Well, the Amtrak makes some kind of a noise that makes me literally black out. I can't see nothing. I don't hear. I'm just in this weird, my body feels weird. Like I just broke into a sweat. Like I'm beating. I've never in my life. And I stopped and my friend said I was pale white and I just looked like my mouth was open and I'm like, I just paused. Like I just literally had a fucking like it was like a rebooting, like a computer system or something. All right. So that was, whoa, what the hell was this? And nothing really ever came from that. Right. It just that happened. And I could never tell you why. It was a one distinct noise that the Amtrak made that literally put me into it just did something to my brain that day. And that's when I was like, and I don't think I ever pinpointed that till later on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I only know these things now because I've been able to kind of put it all together and kind of sequence it and relate it, because never did anything like that ever happen again. That was just that one time click, boom. And I don't know why, but it did something to me that day where all of a sudden I'm starting to feel shooting things down my body, tingling in my fingers, my feet going, feeling like they're cold, but they're sweating like profusely. My palms are sweaty. I'm like I'm starting to do it now, actually talking about it. It's weird. My palms are sweaty. And then feeling tingling in my fingers and just, I was like, what the frick is going on with me, dude? I have never in my life gone through any of this, right? But I'm still just taking on life, getting married, having kids, playing football, coaching football, getting a job, buying a house. I mean, just boom, boom. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking on so much stuff that I don't have any time to have any self-reflection. I don't even have enough time to put towards all the shit that I'm taking on. And all of this is still new to me because I'm just freshly out. And now I'm back to like, oh shit, I don't even know how to live like a civilian no more, because I'm like, I want it all, because everything I wasn't able to do certain things, or I didn't have the luxury of doing certain things because I was in the military. I was committed to them for 4 years. Now that I don't have that commitment, I'm just like, I'm committing myself to every freaking thing. But at that time, that wasn't good for me. It wasn't right, because I'm actually starting to add on to more problems with myself and more stresses by just taking on all this extra shit. Because anytime you take something on, I don't care what it is, there's going to be some kind of a level of stress that comes with it. There's responsibilities, all that stuff, and you're just, I'm not used to any of this again, right? Like, my paycheck came every other Friday. I knew exactly how much I was making, no matter how long I worked. I didn't have to really, like, things were taken care of for me. Now I'm out here like, oh shit, trying to figure it out. And I'm still not really paying attention to my PTSD or my anxieties. But when my divorce takes place from my wife, my ex-wife, that's when it just really started showing itself. Because now I got all these other fucking problems, and now everything is just made the mountain. The rug is now uncovered all the shit. And now I don't even know how to deal with it. I'm starting to have to go through therapy for my first time. I've always been kind of against it, but I was at a level of like, I need to do something. I don't like the way I'm feeling. I can't, I hate the way I'm feeling. Like, it feels yucky. It's just, I can't sleep. I would go close my eyes, and it was the worst feeling ever. I could never go to another level of sleep. I could hear everything, but my eyes would be closed. And then I would have to try to go to work and try to function. My job started at 5 a.m., and I'm like, I'm starting to play I'm losing the battle of sleep. Every day, I'm losing hours of sleep. So my body is so far behind, and now I know my body's horrible still to this day. I got an Aura ring that I just got. Yeah. Don't ever get one of those, because it tells you too much, and it tells you your lack of, and one thing I know, I'm a horrible sleeper, and I've been that way ever since I've gotten out. And I don't know that I've ever had a night of 8 hours uninterrupted sleep. I don't even know what the hell that's like. My wife gets it. I'm just like, Thank you. I'm glad you get it because it must feel great because I don't even know. And my body still functions just fine. I'm my literally my ring's saying like I'm getting just under 5 hours of sleep most of the time. And so it's like my ring probably thinks I'm like badass because it always tells me like, oh, you're gonna have a sluggish day today. You know, it's okay. You'll get through this. If you need some extra rest. And I'm over here burning like 1,500 calories a day. Things probably like, gosh, damn, this guy's must be on speed or something, But I've just adapted to it, So the divorce though crippled me, and it really started bringing things out, and that's when I had to seek professional help at this point in time.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
So PTSD is very similar to chronic pain or chronic disease, right? Okay, so when you're when you have PTSD or you have chronic pain, your cup is full all the time. So you're just kind of like living life where your cup is full. You are constantly at this high stress level and you're just living life. So something that happens, so that's chronic, right? You're chronically like this. So when something acute happens, it already pushes everything out of the cup and you're overfilling. So it makes sense that thing that, some people can handle divorce and they're like, oh, I'm okay. Oh, I'm having a little bit of pain, but I'm okay. But with people with PTSD, when something acute happens, it overflows the cup because your cup is already full. And it's the same thing with chronic pain. That's why like some people can handle a lot of pain throughout their life, but then they stub their toe and they like have this meltdown. And so it's very similar to that. So you've had this chronic PTSD stress level where you're living in survival mode here, and then the divorce happens and everything just starts overflowing. So it makes sense.
Right. So I like that analogy, and I'll throw a little extra to it. So my cup is already full and there's drips coming down the side, right?
Yes.
Now someone just threw a fucking rock in my cup. That thing just exploded, and now, boom! Now my marriage, all the things, like everything is really starting to just fester and come out. And now, I'm starting to notice that my vigilance and all that is just really, really extra hiding. I have my trust levels are horrible. I mean, I'm just hating life at this point in time too. Like I just don't like life. I don't like anything. It was a big blow for me to take that divorce. And now I'm, and it's bringing up my childhood too, because I went through a divorce as a kid. And now all this scary shit of all the things I experienced as a kid, I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to put my kids through this too.
And this is complex PTSD for people who aren't aware. So you have been triggered by the military trauma, and then something else triggers you into your childhood trauma. So now you are dealing with complex PTSD, not just the acute PTSD of coming back from Iraq. So that's a lot of layers there.
Had I had handled my childhood trauma earlier in life, I probably would have had a more of a successful out of the divorce instead of such a spiral. Right. And it kind of forced my hand, because either way, it's either, hey, I might end up dead from this because I'm going to kill myself, or I got to figure out how the fuck I can start functioning and making it. Because I started feeling like not right. I started feeling like less than a dad, less than a father, less than a man, less than everything. Things were getting stripped from me. As a Marine, I'm taught not to fail, and I'm failing at all aspects in fucking of my life right now. Nothing I feel like I'm doing is right. I've even, was at doing college and stuff, and I was maintaining and getting through, but I just wasn't feeling good. I know I wasn't giving my best either, right? I was just giving everything a little bit of myself and trying to work through it. So then I start going through the counseling, and they start giving me these pills and shit, which just for better lack of words, it was just made me feel like blah. Like it just, I mean, I don't know. It just made me feel like I just didn't like it. It
Did
really
it numb you out?
I don't know what it did. I just wasn't feeling right, and it just, I felt like it just like, I can't explain it, just like blink. And then as I'm dating, I'm starting to experience like sexual problems. I'm starting to like not even be able to function sexually because I'm just so anxiety ridden. And I mean, I didn't know and I never experienced none of that in my life. I've always, never had a problem. But then now I'm starting to then I'm getting in my head now about this shit. Oh gosh. I'm fucking, I can't even function sexually at this point in time. Because it is riddling my body. And I do not know how to turn the switch off. I do not know what to do. And I'm like trying to figure it all out. Drinking Jack Daniels like crazy. I started drinking JD and Coke like a motherfucker. Started hanging out with chicks, just drinking and, partying and just thinking, oh, this is the only way, and this is what's working. So when it starts working, I'm like, fuck it, this is working. Let's just keep doing it then. And I'm just, once again, it's just no happiness. Everything's just false pretense. It's very short-lived. Nothing ever stuck for me where I'm finding my happiness. It's just, like I said, it's just really small spurts of happiness. And then it just dies out like a fucking, like a candle. There's girls that were really awesome chicks that I probably just was not in the capacity to be a good man to them. And they didn't probably deserve the asshole that I was, and I just, my end goal for them wasn't to be in a relationship. It was more like having sex and, having that compatibility without having that stuck relationship. Because I was at a moment in time too where I was like kind of mad. I didn't really want to be in a relationship. I don't want to get married ever again. Fuck that. I'm just done. So I just want to play the game of playing the field, feeling how that feels again. And that's just an endless road of non-happiness too, right? Everything I did was just to provide me a small glimpse of happiness. So my glass at this point in time is fucking damn near empty. And I'm just trying to put stuff in there to have a little bit of something in my glass. And I'm just poking out everything. I'm trying all kinds of shit. And in the meantime, I'm not being a good dad to my kids. I don't know how to be a dad at this point in time because my emotions are so bad. I feel like, and I just know that I'm not giving them the life that I want to give them. I have a weird sense to myself. If something ain't going right, I just fuck it. I just don't even want to, I'd rather just not do it instead of try to work through it and polish it up and make it good. I was giving up on shit because I'm like, it's not going to get, it's not getting good, or, I don't know how to have a relationship with my kids like this. I didn't know how to, that's probably the best way to put it. I did not know how to be a half-assed dad. And that's kind of what I was feeling like as a half-assed dad, because I'm only seeing them during every other weekend. And now things are transitioning to that. They're starting to get in trouble at school. And their mom's not really handling it, but she wants to come to me for all this. And now I only see my kids the first, third, and if there's a fifth weekend of every month. So when they're coming to me, I'm sitting there getting on them about school and shit. Getting on them about the way they act or this or that. So for them, that coming over is like a chore because, oh shit, dad's going to fucking get on us about this. Oh, I was bad at school. Dad's going to take my phone, or, you know, it just was a different life for them over at my house versus at their mom's house. And her mom wasn't ever up for really being a good co-parent and working together and being kind of like for the other parent. It was working always against me. I was badgered all the time from her and her family in front of my kids. So that was really a rough thing. And it's hard for me when I start feeling some kind of way. I just want to turn my feelings off because I don't want to fucking feel the hurt. So it's better for me to just boom, stop, you know? And if you can't do that with your kids, though. And I was trying, though. It's sad, but I was kind of trying because I didn't want to feel the pain.
Now, at this point, when you're doing all this, are you still in therapy? Are you still working through some stuff?
I was in and out of therapy, right? So I would go, and then like 12 sessions or something. The guy's like, "Oh, you sound good. You sound like you got it all set. You got it good." And they set me on my way. But I never was good. But I you know what? I'll be honest with you. I probably was just lying most of the time to these counselors to get them off my ass.
I call it selective honesty. You talk about this, so they don't ask about this.
Correct. Send them down the path of we need to get this done. Oh, he's looking better. He's doing good. Tell them what they want to hear. But I wasn't that wasn't really healing. That's not healing. That's me faking it to everybody else, but I'm selling myself short the entire time. I'm selling everybody else that, oh, he's going to counseling. He's got to be doing good. Am I? Or am I charading it? Am I going in there, playing the part, telling them what they want to hear? I'm smart enough. I know better. You know what? Half the time I know my own fucking problem, my issue. I just got to work through it and be smart about it and learn how to do it. I don't really necessarily need someone else to point it out for me. Most of the time I get it. I just, the stubborn part, I have to relinquish that stubbornness in me sometimes.
There's a line from one of my poems: self-awareness, a strength to many who seek. For a person like me, it just makes me weak. The solution to questions is already found. How to put them to work is way too profound.
Exactly. 100%. And that was my mindset, right? Like it just, and I think a lot of people do that. When alcoholism, they just, any kind of mental health type of history, there's a point in your life where you try to fake it to everybody. Oh, I'm fucking doing good, man. Yeah, I've done like 5 sessions. I'm fixed. No, folks, you're never really fixed, okay? You're just given the ability to process and handle it better if you can get there and learn that part, and not have that quick reaction to everything. And then you when you had that bad reaction and you destroyed everything, after the dust settles, you realize, oh my God, I just fucking destroyed the whole room and I shouldn't have done that. But that's the thing is you almost got to play like the game of chess with your mind. You got to work ahead. You got to be ahead of the game. You got to think ahead. You got to be several moves ahead of yourself sometimes.
It's 3D chess too, because there's multiple layers and you're playing chess on multiple layers, and oh my God,
100%. Oh. But you got to get to that level of learning the pieces on the board. and when to move them and how to move them, and know that you can't just act so fast on a move without looking at the other. Like, you can make that move, but if you made that move without looking, something can happen, right? So I mean, it is a game of chess sometimes when you are going through the recovery and you're starting to realize things. That's the scary part a little bit, is when you get the realization and you kind of learn, and then you're still not good though. You're still not good, but there's a scary part because you're a little bit healed. So sometimes you take your little bit of healing and cover that and other shit that ain't done and mask that up. But you're not done, and people think they are.
So what was and I don't know if you have more to add with where you've been at, but what was the caveat? What was the point where you realized, hey, I've done this therapy. I think I'm okay, but I'm not really okay. What was the caveat? What was the catalyst? That's the word. What was the catalyst when you're like, I am not okay and something needs to change?
I think honestly, 2023, when I started this podcast, because that's the first time that I really had to dig deep and start telling my story and start processing and dealing with things and starting having a little bit of a realization. And then now you can go back in your story and start to almost pick out of times when, like, oh shit, that might have been the pinnacle change or whatnot. You can start to see that a little bit more. Your story isn't so foggy as it used to be. You can start identifying things, and maybe there's things that you still won't be able to because you were just so fucking far gone. It is what it is. But when you can start realizing certain things, that's when you know there's a change. And it took me a while, even I met my wife, like 2014. We get married 2015. So even when I meet my wife, I'm still not mentally sound at all. And actually, she started pushing me more into getting help with PTSD and stuff like that, because now I'm living with her day in, day out. She sees everything. She sleeps with me. She hears me talking in my sleep. She's like, last night you talked about dragging someone from the floor. And, I'm just like, what? And she's just like, you get violent sometimes in your sleep. And I'm just like, well, okay, that's wild. And so she just started noticing things, and she started, and then I have my other buddy who's already been going and getting 100%, and he's been chirping on my ear. And so it took me a while, man. I mean, we're in 2025, and a lot of my realization didn't come till like 2 years ago. I've been walking around for 20 plus years, not doing well. You know what I mean? Just getting by, but really not giving the best version of myself to the rest of the world.
So I know in the next episode where we continue on your story, like after you got married and then up until now, right? I know we're going to talk more in details there, but it sounds like, your wife, like your wife that you have now, back in 2014, it sounds like she kind of opened up the door for the healing to start, even if you didn't really start recognizing it for another 10 years. It still sounds like she was kind of this good caveat to open a door of, you feel safe, which is what happened with my husband.
She was worth getting better for.
Yeah.
She's worth the fighting for, to find the best version of myself.
Well, it also
her
sounds
and her
like
kids were the worth it for me, right? And I finally found the people that I felt I at this point in time I still was living for myself.
Well, I was going to say, it sounds like, yes, she was worth it, right? But it sounds like she let you know that you were worth healing for yourself too.
Yeah,
it sounds
absolutely.
like she was that safe place for you to be like, okay, I've been living for myself. I want to live for other people. I want to be good for myself too. I want to heal. So it sounds like she was that good, safe place to let you know that you were worth finding healing.
which is a blessing because little did I know she wasn't in a good mental health space either. Right. But through my healing, has been able to help her with her healing. Right. Like she's been able to see me transforming and having a different outlook and things that makes her hungry too. And then we we were able to kind of get me through to close to the finish line or closer to the finish line. And now I'm able to kind of grab my hand and say, come on, babe. I know you had to go through some shit with me too. Right. So I'm here too. Right now now I'm gonna fucking grab you and we're gonna run to this bitch together and get through this finish line together. It's been a fucking race on our own for the longest time, but now it's time to finish the race together. I'm not getting younger. You're not getting younger. We've had shitty fucking marriages. We've had a shitty life up until this point. Seems to me like the fucking the writing on the wall is that we need to go live our best life. And dude, it's been it's every marriage is gonna be a challenge, but at the end of the day, if you find someone worth fighting for, you're gonna fucking fight for it and you're gonna stay in it to the end and fight for it if it's worth the fight. And I've always loved the shit out of my kids and I've always wanted to see the best for them. And I got to be that image for them. I want them to see a good painting of their dad. I want them to see the colors for me. I want them to see the real who I am. I'm funny. I have a good fucking time. I'm not always so serious. I'm not such an asshole. But I got to show that to them. I got to emulate that. I can't just talk about it. I got to do it. And that's where my journey is hey, my little dude's 8 years old. My oldest, she's about to be 21 next month.
Wow. You have a 20-year-old? That's crazy.
Yes. She just got back from Italy. She did a class over in Italy. So, but I have a huge range there. My first two kids are adults now. And they didn't get to see the best version of me. But now they're seeing me, though, be a better version to their little brother. And we were able to walk through and work through things because I already told them, tell me what I've done wrong to you and let's work through this. Like, this is your opportunity. I want to give you that safe space to let you have that opportunity to tell me. So let's move forward. Let's just talk about whatever negative part you feel from me that I gave you. What kind of complex or what did I do let me know where I fucked up. And maybe I can bring a little bit of some clarity to that for you. Maybe we can heal some of your trauma that I created. I'm going to give you that space that I've never been given by any other of my parents. I want to do that healing with you. I don't want you to do it on yourself. I want to do it with you. I want our relationship to heal together. So, I give them the opportunity to just let it rip.
What you're doing is called living amends for people who don't really understand. It's living amends. It's saying, hey, what I did, I cannot change. I cannot fix it. There's nothing that I can do to make it better. But what I can do is a living amends, which means I can acknowledge what happened and I can do better moving forward.
I will tell you, it has created a different kind of hypervigilante to myself. Now I'm hypervigilante about making sure my kids don't spend their 20s how I spent my 20s. Right? I want them to have a better fucking life than I did. I want them to heal better than I did. It's stupid that we know so much about mental health now and not for us to talk about it. So I'm going to talk about it with my adult kids and my little dude too, and my stepkids, because I'm an advocate for this shit. And I think that, you know what start young so that way they have a fighting chance and they have the toolbox that I didn't have going into my young adulthood. Give them a little bit more clarity where shit was foggy for me. Hey, you know what? They're still going to go out and experience things on their own and do their own thing. But at the end of the day, at least I was able to talk to them through it and get to a better place. And our relationships are doing so much better because now I've, like I said, I've given that ability to, hey, tell me, man. You know what? If you don't want me to say nothing, just tell me, and then we'll get it off your chest, whatever it needs to be. But let's not foster that information anymore, because that's what I did. I kept stuff balled up. I kept it and it grew its own little stuff, and eventually, right, and then it's formed a lot of my brain. And that shit, if it would have been cleared out, my brain might not have been formed to that way. So I'm hoping that maybe we can kind of get in there and fix a little bit of some things that maybe won't leave some kind of a scar tissue in that brain where things got to grow around it. And then, like I said, you start losing places to grow in your brain. I mean, I know what I'm saying is just hypothetical, like it, but that's the way I'm like looking at it, though. Is we got to clear ourselves a little bit to allow other things to make their way through.
So here's a question. Okay. So over these last 10 years, right, kind of finding that peace, finding that love for yourself, finding a different way to live, finding a way to do the living amends with your children, and finding that healing within. um, would you say that as you are kind of making those living amends to your children, are you realizing and recognizing and seeing how much living amends, or what are your living amends that you are making to that inner child that you have inside, that not just the inner child. So you've got the inner child from when you were a child, but you also have the inner child of the young Marine that was in Iraq, that you kind of stuffed down for so long. So do you feel, this is kind of like a multi-part question, but do you feel like as you are doing these living amends for your children, as you are working on becoming a better husband, as you are working on sharing your story and being an advocate for other people, do you feel that internal healing of the inner child? Do you feel those living amends that you are doing for yourself as you are doing this? And if so, what are your what is your perspective of that journey?
Absolutely. Actually, it's funny, right? I really didn't know what I was experiencing until you kind of pointed it out, talking about the inner child, finding your inner child. And the funniest shit was happening because it was all kind of around that, in me just feeling like my own like goofy little self. I do the wildest, dumbest shit. My wife probably thinks I'm fucking, but I act like a kid sometimes, I feel like, but I'm just having fun, right? And it's been a while for me to do that, and or be afraid to do it, but now I just feel it. And you feel a smile that you haven't felt in a long time. I can't explain that smile, but it's a different feeling. If it, there's feeling there in the smile, it doesn't just feel like you're just putting it on. You're feeling it. You know what I mean? And I haven't felt some of my inner feelings in such a long time because I've just shut them off or I've just tuned them out. So I've been way more sound and seeing colors and hearing sounds and just slowing shit down. I've been able to just slow it all down and find the happiness and funniness and shit, and make jokes about it, things, and I know that I'm doing so much better because there's things that keep happening, or there's shit that happens that more normally my 0 to 60 would be out the fucking door and I'd be losing it. But now I'm the one telling my wife, chill, babe, it's all good. It's okay. Because she was getting a little stressed out about the concert and us running late. And I'm just like, babe, it's all good. And I just had to bring her, and I brought her down. Instead of us feeding off of each other and both fucking, fuck them, man, we're fucking gonna be late, I was able to kind of like bring her back down and bring her back into more of a happy space, because I felt like I could feel it. And that's the other thing, is I'm more in tune with my shit. I can feel others' feelings more. I can feel when they're off, right? I can start to feel like, oh shit, she's going into that, like, I can see it in her face. I can, the demeanor's changing. Oh shit, I better, like, throw a joke in here, like, hey babe, let's lighten it up. Honey, it's okay, babe. Like, we're gonna have a good time. The
So
main thing is we're gonna get there on, and watch Morgan, but whatever.
So you find yourself being more present and more empathetic for yourself and for others.
Absolutely. And that is another thing too, empathy. I have found way more empathy than I used to have. Being a Marine is always suck it the fuck up, right? Like, no matter what, for anybody, it's like, hey, stop being a bitch, or, toughen up. But now I find myself feeling for the other person now. What might that person feel? I'm starting to think ahead of the game a little bit. And when you start to get those abilities, it's different. My intuition is way more on with things. I call things out way more. It's crazy. I'll be like, dude, it's funny. My wife's like, she's a merch girl. She has to get merch. And then if you ever go to a concert in a merch line, the lines are outrageous, like hours. So we went and looked at the line, and I'm saying this thing was wrapped around the stadium, multiple of them. I was like, I'm going to tell you what, all these people are probably waiting for that hoodie. The hoodie is going to sell out. It's sold out. I even told her it's sold out. Sure as shit. Guess what? Found out through the grapevine. It was sold out. I was like, she told you, babe. And then what happens at the end? We walk up and there's a little merch stand. They have the exact same merch stand that they had all inside, but they had them right at the end. No one was in line. She goes right up. They had a hoodie there. Boom. Bam. It's like, so I have to go back and I have to tell her, like, babe, like, some of the things that, like, you started to allow yourself to kind of spin a little bit. Let's go back and say, all right, that wasn't necessary because X, Y, and Z ended up playing out. You know what I mean? So if we walk back sometimes to find out where, like, that start tripping us up, now I have that ability where I can start walking back with that person and peeling back with them, because I identify it now. And I'm like, oh, I can sense things that I wasn't able to sense. I would just play off her anger or whatever, her feelings. If she getting mad, I fight the fire with fire or something. Now I'm like the fucking forest ranger over here. So as you start to heal, it's the transition from kind of being the victim. You start to be more of the coach, the advocate, the leader. Your place kind of starts to take a different approach, right? And everything along that starts to fall in place with your new approach and your new way of thinking. Now, and I'm not going to say that sometimes we fall back a little bit and we can revert. But the thing about it is if you now have the ability to start learning and identifying stuff. And sometimes now I'm able to get through problems that could have festered way longer a lot faster as well, right? These things aren't festering and going on. Now we're able to get through it and heal through it. There was no fucking fighting, dumbass yelling, getting mad, saying things we didn't mean. None of that has to transpire. You know, I'm still trying to find that. I'm still trying to get better, but starting to identify it and be cognizant of it is helping. And especially with reactions, because that's always been a big problem of mine, as I've been a bad reactor. And so my reactions have always got me into the bad place of being the bad guy, even though, like I said, I've been in the right in some of these things, but because I was over aggressive on my reaction, that's all it became about, is how I reacted and my aggression, So learning to be the sensei, the professor, the wizard. There's a lot of things that happen there. It's a multifaceted healing, because now I also thrive and build off of helping others. It helps me. It helps me to make someone else feel good, or it helps me to feel good when I help someone kind of work through, like my wife, when this last weekend was perfect, because I was able to talk her off and say, look, babe, we got here just in time and everything was good. There was no reason for any of to get upset or allow yourself to go there. Because I normally, like I said, I would throw a little bit of some Kindle on the fire and shit, or maybe even gas. So I'm not making the situation better. But now I'm just trying to be the listen, shut up, listen, let her keep blowing it off. Find that opportunity to say, babe, it's okay, honey. It's okay. We just got to chill out. We're good. So, and she does that for me too sometimes too, right? Like, so now we're able to kind of start to see when that we're identifying when we know that pressure is starting to build up. And then we're let some of that air out. The pressure's building up a little much. That just takes time in relationships and everything. But at the end of the day, we were two unhealthy people that got married to each other. And a lot of times that don't work out well. But thank God she was at a place where she was able to kind of get me through my healing process. Then I got to that stability, and I look back and I'm like, damn, she's not doing that good. I need to go back and help her too. So now I need to, and then, so like I said, the awareness started coming, not just about me now, about others, and identifying, oh shit, she's going through it. Now, and then when you talk to people, you can start to feel those kind of things, and you start to have the little bit of a monitor when you talk to someone, in a feeling of like, all right, let's have a better conversation, because I feel like they're a little off right now. So it's kind of cool. It is cool, the transformation that goes with the journey of, finally healing yourself. And it healing to me is going to be forever. I will forever have to heal. But I'm getting better at it. Right. And I know that there's still some shit in my life that's going to happen. I'm 44 years old. I'm not getting younger. I'm getting to that point in life where friends, family, they're getting older. My parents, there's just things in life that are going to come my way. And now I'm in a better place to handle things and process through them, and not allow them to just destroy my life every time and become the catastrophe, because I think that's what happens to us when we're not healed. Everything is absolute catastrophe. Everything, the world's falling down. When one thing goes down, everything fucking sucks. And you're just like, ah! But when the little things start happening now, and when you're in a better place, it's like, okay, let me think about this one. And so I'm getting better as the things come through my way, versus like, what in the fuck are they doing? It's more like, wonder why they did that. And let me think a little bit more about this. And, and like I said, it's just a great feeling, and I'm going to continue down the path of trying to get better, each and every day. But the podcasting has definitely helped. Being able to talk to people like you, other veterans, advocates, doctors. I've had a lot of great guests on here that each and every one of them are instrumental to the success in my journey in healing, because every one of every person I think I've ever had on my show has always said something that just rings to me or really makes me think differently. And so I feel like I've come a long ways in being accepting as well, accepting others of all walks of life and things like that, not being so close-minded. And if they ain't like me, I've done just so much more healing, right? Like, I feel like I'm becoming more of a godly person, like the way, like emulating what God would want, and that is to love, accept, and be happy, and just sprinkle that along the rest of the world, and give back to others by providing happiness.
You're becoming more you than you used to be.
That's right.
Like
Yes.
the poem at the beginning. Like this,
Yeah.
this right here is the exact emulation of what we talked about at the beginning, post-traumatic growth.
Right.
Usually post-traumatic growth is not just I'm healing for me and that's it.
Yeah.
Post-traumatic growth is I am healing and I'm healing those around me as well.
Right.
And so that's the thing, is like in our trauma we become we become empathetic to what other people have gone through, and so then that post-traumatic growth is healing other people as well, and I was just thinking the title of this podcast, this episode, should be From PTSD to Advocacy, because
Like that.
that is exactly what this is.
Yep.
We have come from a place of trauma and hurt. And so this is exactly what this episode has been about, your story of your PTSD into advocacy. And that is what post-traumatic growth is. And so I love it. This has been so wonderful and so fun.
Absolutely. I love it too. And we'll be going through your PTSD journey next. And that way you can kind of talk to us kind of the same way I did, you know, give us those emotions, give us maybe the realizations that you may have had, because uh, helping us kind of walk through this, maybe someone else could identify something a little sooner um, than later. And that's the hopes of telling our stories and doing this is help someone else, like that young 20-year-old, not to make so many mistakes through their 20s and have to pay the price through their 30s and 40s. But we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I think I've said enough, and I don't know if you have another poem you want to read before we head on out and
I
finish it
do.
off. All
And
right.
and this poem is kind of perfect for what we've been talking about. So the poem that I wanted to read, and I'm actually, because it's been edited in my book, so I'm going to
Okay.
read it in here. I just need to find what page it is. But it's called Connections. And it's
Nice.
that idea, as we are healing, we learn how to connect with others and nature and God, and that is part of what's healing, because like you said, we are learning how to connect with other people. So this is Connections, and I wrote this when I was 2 months sober. So when my eyes were finally starting to open to learning how to connect with other people. So Connections. Sometimes I get this feeling, though sometimes it goes away. I know that there are others. It shows in what they say. I've been searching far and wide, a home to build so strong, where I can find comfort from this world that feels so wrong. I'm learning I won't find it if I hide my love and talents, playing the disconnect game, refusing to find balance. When I focus on my past or future, forgetting the here or now, then I become a victim, and worldly things may make me bow. I start to judge another, they are wrong and I am right. Or even worse, the feeling of giving up the fight. In past, I judged my worth on some opinions or advice, playing follow the leader in a swarming group of mice. I pushed out the weaker beings, stepped on their head. Question is, what will I carry into my own deathbed? I'll bring wisdom and emotions with connections of the heart, not my worldly ambitions or even a piece of art. There's so much to experience above my head and below my feet, many worlds to be discovered, many siblings yet to meet. I sometimes get lost in arguing in my head or with another, forgetting that our perceptions are different from each other. Even the yesterday me I thought I knew so well has changed so much today, yet continues to still yell. Sometimes I get distracted about what to do or say, then I forget to focus on simple things that day. There is a lot of healing and amends that must be made. I cannot stop experiencing the world as it's been laid. That family of squirrels or bird's nest I saw today around noon did not come out of nowhere. It's been there many a moon. A beautiful flower by the street could have been easily passed. He might have a brother where another shadow is cast. The smile I saw on a stranger, I swear I've never seen before. It might have graced my presence yesterday at the store. I was just too focused on the things I had to buy. Was he behind me with his kid, a teardrop in his eye? The things that I've been blind to may not be just by chance. I may be missing some connections, a whole number left to dance. A thin thread, like a spider's, is being shown each day. I'm learning how to follow it in the vibe to do and say. Not things that I have planned, ignoring how others feel, but focusing on us both, watching layers start to peel. I've experienced many things, some I cannot show or tell. I have to give God credit for helping me see so well that this invisible, mighty strand is intertwining in my life, and my energy or karma impacts others' joy or strife. I'm learning that my actions can certainly affect many. If I serve another person, I'll be rewarded plenty. It's not about the money. I don't need much of that. It's not about the glory or even the blessings I get back. It's knowing that my words or even a helping hand may change split decisions, helping pearls transform from sand. As I'm going through this constant changing healing, I'm trying not to judge myself or focus on the feeling that I didn't accomplish everything I wanted to do today, because I know I did my best if my motives didn't stray. If by chance I realize I did some wrong somewhere, I do my best to right it or genuinely show I care. I know if I stay positive, honoring connection to all, the chains of negativity and pain will slowly start to fall.
Outstanding. Another great one. That goes so good with what just happened. I mean, that's one thing about these poems is they really relate to our conversations very well. It's almost like you wrote these before we had the conversation. You know, you did. It's weird.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank
Well,
you, thank you for sharing your story and being so vulnerable. Like this is so healing for me to be able to do this and hear your story. And I'm excited, and maybe we can like publicly announce it right now. I'm so excited that as we are finishing up our stories, we are going to be hosting some other guests that will be on here, kind of sharing a little bit of their story and what they are doing in their own advocacy, how they are using their post-traumatic growth, which I'm going to be using that wording for a
I
long
love that.
time.
Yeah.
It was a
Gross.
past guest of yours,
I
Garrett
know. It's
Biss, who
amazing.
will be with us again. And he's going to share his journey of post-traumatic growth. And we're going to have Tammy Flake on here, and we're going to have a couple other people on here who are going to be sharing a little bit of their story and sharing their post-traumatic growth and what they are doing to advocate for other people. So I'm just so excited for this. This has become something just amazing and fantastic. And I'm going to cry, but I'm so grateful, Bryan, that you have allowed me on this journey with you, because
You'll make me cry.
it is
Jeez.
healing another part of me that I didn't realize I needed. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Marie, for being a part of it. You're helping me as well. And I'm glad we were able to team up and do this, because I really hope we can help others, because it is a healing thing for us both. Um, and I thank you for sharing your story as well, because it is hard, and I'm so happy that we've been able to do this journey together, and you're just blossoming. You're starting to see her more of a social media presence, and talking in front of a camera, and I'm just so happy. I'm really happy for you, and because you deserve happiness. You deserve to be the light, the shining beacon for others, and that's exactly what you're doing. And it may take a little time, but when people start to understand and hear you and stuff, you're gonna have some people out there really following you and benefiting from your past, right? So, thank you, Marie, and thank you so much for, you just write your feelings out too, and you really know how to put it all in perspective. And I really love how you level set us, and you put things into perspective. It's great to have, someone on the team, someone, and I look at you as a hell of a teammate. And I'm glad that, like I said, we can do this together, and you're becoming a hell of a podcaster and shit. So one day she might just have her own damn show and be that big badass next Joe Rogan out there.
I don't know about that.
Don't forget where you came from, ever, all right? But no, I'm so happy to have you on the journey and be on this journey with you. And yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes for us, man. This is amazing. And now we're going to start bringing on guests and opening this up a little bit more. It all started off with an interview, and it's grown into a great relationship. So you guys just keep tuning in, and you guys are going to get some really good fruit out of this. All right, there'll be some great fruit coming away from this, because that's where we really want others to heal, and that's a big part of us. We know how great it feels to feel that way. We know how bad it feels to feel the other way,
Yes.
right? So get on this motherfucking side of the fence with us. We're here for you guys. We love you all. And don't do nothing crazy out there that cannot be reversed. Remember, there's a crisis lifeline, 988. For you veterans out there, press 1. If you're not a veteran, you can still call 988. They'll help you. They'll put you in the right direction. I can't say they'll solve your problem for you, but at least someone can maybe put you in the right direction to get you in a better place, to not do something that is irreversible, that you can't take back. All right, because we all need you all. And I need Marie, and she needs me. We need each other. We all need everybody out there, right? So let's get behind each other, pull each other up, don't put each other down. And do you have any last things real quick, Marie?
I'm just excited to be on this road with you, and thank you again.
Absolutely. And you know how we say, guys, don't let the day kick your ass. Make sure you're out there kicking it. Until next time, we'll see you guys.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.